Oh, well, look who it is. Tell me, which way to the library? Because I simply must find a book to assist me on the correct pronunciation of patate au jus de cochon. Oh, you're so silly. It's not in that direction. I suppose I'll have to escort myself. Oh. Well, then I must ask, what is it to you what I do with my time? Is it any of your concern? This is essentially my party. Surely I'm allowed some entertainment. What else ought I look up? Wine-stained muzzle? Graveyard dullard? Now there's an idea. We can go to the cemetery. Say, do you believe in spiritualism? Ghosts and the sort? Fairies? Or the little people? As Mrs. McKinnon would say, does she still blame the brownies for misplaced spoons? I heard that once when I was 8. I had snuck downstairs and it stuck with me ever since, imagining little men-like creatures snatching my toys or my sister's pencils. I've always wanted to ask her more about them. Whoa! It's fine. Oh, God. What would have happened if this chair were not here? Oh, no. Oh, no, Rome would fall. You really do worry too much. Has anyone told you that? Well, I know I have, and I'm telling you again. You really ought to desist. Desist? Decease. Speaking of ghosts, please don't die. We don't need anything else to ruin this night. No, it's a lovely party, of course. What am I saying? What are you saying? What are you insinuating that I am insinuating? Because I am nothing but grateful for this wonderful, lavish, marvelous event in my honor for my future. What are you doing here, in any case? The swing is meant to be closed. Don't you have serving to do? Isn't that your job? Isn't that why we hired you, took you off the streets, or I don't remember. Well, I don't know. You don't talk as much about yourself as I think to ask. You are staff. I mean, what can you honestly expect from me? You've been here so long. It's hard to remember exactly where you came from before. There are so many of you. Hush, I'm saying it to sting. I know where you come from. I'm not completely oblivious. But I have remained unanswered. Lord Buckley. Too heavy on the brandy again, then, I assume. What a surprise. You are clever, though. This does provide a decent shortcut back. Do you ever think how strange it is that you know the inner workings of my home so well, and yet I've only the vaguest knowledge of your quarters? I mean, I know it makes sense, what with you being a servant of the home, but still, I find it... I don't know, I know how to find your area, the general layout, but then I'm lost. You, on the other hand, can take a stumbling lord to his bedchamber on a far wing and manage your way back through a series of doors that I ought to know like the back of my hand. And I suppose I do, but I do have to think about it sometimes. It seems like it's second nature to you. It makes me a tad envious. Sometimes I enter a room and I'll just stop and think, I forgot about this. It's a room I've been many times before. I'm familiar with its placement. It, by all intents and purposes, belongs to me. And yet, this room, this place in my home that has existed mostly unchanged since before my birth, a few hallways down, is unfamiliar to me. It doesn't have a sense of, I don't know, belonging in my world. Which is ridiculous, because who else could it belong to? Sometimes I feel perhaps this home owns itself. That would be respectable for it, wouldn't it? She's a strong old girl. And I have not always appreciated her for what she is. But you do, don't you? It's so familiar to you, and so dignified, and to all of you, you know, all of you downstairs, and you don't even sleep up in its chambers, and are you more a part of it than I am? I don't know. I don't like that thought. No, I don't mean that as an insult to you. Sometimes I catch glimpses of myself in this house, and I don't particularly like the reflection that's staring back at me. I mean, she might look splendid, but it's not always even seen in a mirror. It's seen in a hallway that catches me by surprise. But you know, the books on the shelves and the phrase on the curtains, and you know how the sunlight looks dappling through in the early morning. To me, it is present so momentarily. So much of my home remains unlived in by myself. So thank you. On behalf of the estate. If its foundation could speak, I'm sure it would have higher praise for you than for me. Oh, don't look so touched. Disgusting. Just another thing about you that I find annoying. More beloved to my home than I am. I am already I will miss her when I'm gone. Oh, no, I'm sure he hasn't noticed. My intended is not the most observant man. That's the excuse I'm giving to counterbalance the poor manners that drip from roughly every second sentence. You see how gracious I am? Gracious and genteel, and so very beautiful. My mother said, "You'll notice I've had my previous gown switched with this new one. Wasn't befitting an engagement party," is what she told me, but nothing is enticing enough to keep Mr. Maynard's interest, apparently, and how could I, when he is so utterly infatuated with the idea of scolding me on my French? On my French! Do you understand the insult? I have studied my entire life, and no, he's absolutely correct, and that is what makes me so... Oh yes, my sister does exceed my skill level at some things. Perhaps he's chosen the wrong sister. Wouldn't that be funny? I was always terrible at foreign language. It's not just French. My most egregious flaw, I think, however, his English skills are terribly lacking, considering the quality of conversation he's content with keeping. At least I am open to learning new skills. And speaking of, I have a task for you. No. Come. I commanded. Yes. Command. Like I am a captain at sea, and you are my faithful deckhand. Well, my ground is shifting, so hurry up before... There, see? A proper gentleman. Finally, I was hoping I would dance with one of them tonight. Of course. And you caught me in such an easily maneuverable position. Now, lift your hand. We can just jump right into it. This is a rather new style. It's only just made its way over from Germany, and I hear it had plenty of people more pious than I to fall into an absolute tizzy. I don't know how often you attend Sunday Mass, but I think you can probably hold your station better than those grown men throwing tantrums up in the pulpits. Now, hand. And then the other on my back, right at my shoulder blade. Oh, come on, it's hardly intimate. It is how the dance is meant to be performed. And I think the time to harp on regarding inappropriateness belongs in the distant past. At least when no one can see. And we are alone. Just let me have my one fun moment of the night, and then you can get back to serving champagne and nervously adjusting your gloves. Speaking of, you seem rather uncharacteristically put out tonight. Why is that? Is the music not to your taste? Yes, it should be a haunting organ, or perhaps an untuned fiddle. That would fit the energy quite well. I really find no comfort in your defense of my fiancé. I don't know what's come over you, but don't try to prove yourself to be a man of dignity by leaping to the aid of a boorish bastard with a complete lack of... Did you just put your finger to my lips? Did you just shush me? That is very rude and uncalled for. And for what purpose? Why? Is your wish to come under his employment? Because if that's the case, you'd do better with my intel on your side. Gossip is simply an ill-mannered term for the exact same thing. And I'd really rather you not seek his company. My parents are bad enough. The last thing I need is my only confidant throwing me overboard for a slightly bigger buoy. Slightly. What could I do? He'd hardly listen to me if I graced him with my impression. If he's even noticed my absence, it's because someone has mentioned it between his ramblings of stag hunting in Bavaria. As misaligned as your loyalties seem to be, it's nice to dance with someone who actually looks at me. Well, aren't you charming above all else? Tell me, am I the most intoxicated partygoer you've ever had the displeasure of chaperoning? Then I don't want to hear another word, unless of course it's regarding my absolutely heavenly dancing skills, which I must admit render me unable to hear the jabs of those beneath my station, so I'm sorry if I don't respond to any of your probes. I simply can't make out a word you're saying. That was too fast to spin, and I have every right to blame it on you. You're the man, you lead the damn thing. I don't appreciate your attitude. I can scold as well, you know. I was bred for it. Do you think I haven't noticed your positively anal fixation on your job recently? And if you are truly doing it to impress Mr. Merritt, I will be genuinely upset. It isn't your place as an employee of my family to be actively flirting with a rival employer, regardless of his impending relation. And another thing, what grounds do you have to become so short with me? There hasn't been a single acknowledgement of your hand in our recent intimate business, and instead I've been made to feel a fool for even a glance in your direction. And after our run-in in the dress shop, I'd assumed you'd have relaxed a little bit more, or at least spared a touch more warmth than you'd previously given. But yes, I understand you've been busy. I've been in London, but when I arrived back home it was as though we'd never even crossed paths. Not even a proverbial nod. And what would your coveted Mr. Mailer think if he was to find out that you were the one to steal the first kiss from his bride? I'm honestly not sure what he would feel. His ego pitted against his disinterest, which one would win? In any case, I haven't had a kiss since that day. I honestly was expecting at least one. Is that arrogant? Am I too deluded from my romance novels? Yes, my aunts, of course. You caught me. I slipped. Are you to shame me now? So am I living in a fantasy? I wouldn't know. I am not experienced. I'm not a trollop. And you haven't been around? I simply value my more intimate connections. Maybe it hasn't been long enough for you to miss me. Is that it? You haven't been exhausting your supply, have you? That maid, Tansy. She's a very beautiful girl, very, very beautiful. If you've been cavorting, I'd expect to be made aware before any rings are produced. Don't say it. I can see the question arising, and no, jealousy is not a part of it. Tansy is a sweet thing. I wouldn't want to be deviling on my engagement alongside another's courtship, is the problem. I do try to hold my reputation to a certain standard, as my dancing clearly demonstrates. Which reminds me, it was rather cheeky to sneak a scone into my basket that time. Was that payment for my attentions? Well, do not do it again, if that is the case. I do not appreciate my affections being perceived as a service, especially not one repaid so simply. If you really want to show me your gratitude, you can provide me with a similar action. I will be willing to accept a return. I am lacking lately, as I said. What? Oh. I suppose. Yes. Probably. It only means as much as either of us are willing to escape. I hadn't thought to articulate it that way, but yes, meanings to these things only go so deep when you desperately dread your future union. So if that is the case, then we should stop. Let's stop then. I will give you the emotionally intellectual upper hand this time around. Good catch. It's a close call. There's definitely a value that I wish to respect when it comes to this particular act, so I'm glad you prevented me from wasting more of it. I am a lady after all. That's enough of that. I was beginning to get rather dizzy anyway. You should head back. No. I will rejoin you in a short while. I need to make a stop by my room for a moment. This brooch needs replacing. It's wrinkling my gown. I need to make as good an impression as I can. Oh no. No, I'm just thinking out loud. Hurry, before Mr. Darby demands your neck. And I won't help you. It'll seem too out of character. Don't... I won't allow all these sort of interactions again. You've cleared my eyes. Ultimately, it is my responsibility to you. No sense in wreaking havoc over a few simple kisses. Especially when the dancing proves more effective. Oh, and do not try for Mr. Maylord's employment. Good evening.